Thank you for your patience. Allow me time to talk for about 10 minutes about my favorite pet project right now, which is the application or enhancement of auditing or accounting with drones. And I call this term droneivation. It actually means drones plus innovation equals droneivation. I'm actually in the process of trademarking the name and also the logo because I feel it's very unique. It can be applied to many different industries. Call everything droneivation. And this idea came to fruition, or started, the idea came about a year and a half ago. My colleague Robert Niemer and myself were stuck at a conference in Houston, Texas, and we were having a happy hour at a bar. We started talking about drones. They were talking about the military use of drones. We thought, why aren't accountants using drones for inventories? I mean, this is like one of the last few vestiges of auditing and accounting, which is still manual. The auditor still has to walk into the client's warehouse or their own company's warehouse, take a manual inventory, evaluate the inventory, or they have to climb onto oil silos and look to validate how much oil is in the silo, or they have to climb on a roof and check the building condition of the roof, or government auditors have to get on the bridges and scale the bridges and make inspections. And so this is an area that still has not been innovated or transformed by technology, but thanks to drones, this is now changing. So without further ado, I want to talk a little bit about it. The FAA recently released new regulations which allow more users of drones. However, there is a stipulation that the drone has to be flown within sight of the pilot, and a pilot's someone who has a small controller, for example. It could be the cell phone, it could be a controller that came with the drone, but that person has to be inside of the drone. So that's a major restriction. However, it does allow an auditor to stand at the warehouse and pilot the drone, and as long as the drone's within sight. So we're looking at these other industries, for example, that have drone usage. We felt that this could be applied to auditing and accounting. Now, the only problem is that the drone is not capable of professional skepticism or independent thinking. So it's more of an information collecting application, but it's really dependent on the ability of the sensor or the camera on the drone, then plus the underlying software. And that's where all the innovation is occurring with the attached software. This is a video there that I don't have time to show you, where we're showing how the drone can very quickly take inventory of outdoor car lots that come off of warehouses. So we have constraints right now of using drones in auditing and accounting, which is the current regulations. They do require, for example, that, also the FAA have very tight regulations. So, for example, the drone cannot go higher than 500 feet. So how does the auditor use a drone for a skyscraper evaluation or skyscraper evaluation process? Then you would have to get a special permission from the FAA to use that drone in the airspace. So that's a quick review of the rules passed by the FAA. And as you can see here, the software that shows where all the drones are flying currently, and then also a map of where you're allowed to fly with some precautions or airspace regulations. The red circle that's there is where President Trump lives, okay? And no drones allowed anywhere close in that area. So because drones could be possibly dangerous. But we expect drones to bring by greater efficiency in the project. So for example, one drone can count as much stock in a warehouse in 2 days. This one drone in 2 days, as an audit team of 80 people with handheld scanners. They do that for RFID scanning now, that can count in 3 days. So it's a tremendous savings of time and energy for an auditor or an accountant. And so there have been studies already with government auditors where they've saved 65% cost by auditing bridges or inspecting the bridges. So this is one example of the bridge here. These are more examples. You can see these are the bridges that have to be manually inspected by auditors or inspectors. So here they are climbing, they're investigating. This is not a fun job. So I'm sure this would be a very easily automated area for the audit. And this is on top of this is taken by a drone here. You can see the top of the bridge. And this is who's been in Las Vegas. Okay, so you've seen the Hoover Dam recently. You saw that bridge. Can you imagine having to inspect that bridge?
I've been there some years ago.
Okay, this is a new bridge. Yeah, the Hoover Dam's there in the front, in the foreground. Hoover, and there's a new bridge that so you allows the cross traffic to go skip the Hoover Dam altogether. Because before you have to drive through the Hoover Dam to get to Arizona, right? So this is actually, it's very interesting how, well, the drone is being used for that audit already.
This is a job for Jimmy.
Exactly. Well, he wouldn't mind inspecting it, right? But the average inspector or auditor would mind it. I think they would be a little afraid of heights.
$20,000 per day, so.
Wow. So just to go over the audit standards real quickly, this is our major restriction. I mean, so we have the inspection of physical records, inspection of physical property, which the auditor still has to conduct. So we have an auditor in the days of automation today still walk into a warehouse with a clipboard. Then we also have, sampling, records, observation, which is looking at different transactions, different assets to see whether the physical evaluation agrees with the declared financial value. So, but we still have RFID tags that have to be scanned by the auditor or the inspector manually. So I do want to show you this video that's coming up. So Jack's over here. Yes. Well, this is the auditor now trying to do scanning in the warehouse. So the easier way for your inventories. This looks more fun, doesn't it? The younger auditors, associates, be doing inventories, they're going to have a blast with this. It's actually it's in the drone vision there. Barcode reading. And the drone, there's technology. In fact, there's a company here in Sao Paulo, Technology X, who has created a technology that can read through 20 feet of merchandise. So the drone can actually just be in the front and read all the barcodes going back. I won't show the building inspection and the bridge inspection to save time, but basically it shows that how quickly and how thoroughly the drone can inspect these different properties. So going to audit automation, we feel that there's a process that's going to have to be undergone for this to occur. We have to make sure that we understand the motivation, the drivers for taking on new technology, then looking at how management has to change, management support has to change, formalizing the processes. Then we also look at implementing this process. How would the audit itself change? The structure would require regulation change too as well. Then how do we monitor the efficiency and whether return on investment has occurred? Just to illustrate here as well, we realize that not all audit procedures can be automated or even become continuous, but we feel drones are definitely an application for this. So to give you an idea here, we have audit drones falling in this category here, where manpower reduction of 73% for warehouse inventory has been shown so far, and say 65% cost savings in bridge inspections. So looking at the drone itself, we have this drone. This is like the most popular heavier type photography drone in business, a Phantom 4 DJI. And it's capable of being flight maneuverable and can be very flexible. It has a video camera. You can put sensor readers on there. It can store some data. Can manipulate objects with some certain programming attachments, and also has other audio sensors. And I also want to point out that there are drones that can take pictures that are as small as your fingers. And those drones can fly between warehouse pallets. They can monitor areas very nefariously. So we have to be very careful because companies have the right to use drones in their property if they want. They can require employees to agree to it. So this would be scary in terms of privacy, but it's also got great audit applications. And this is an example will give you an idea of what they're capable in terms of software. It can you prepare a camera, plan in advance. We've been talking a lot about drones monitoring the parking lots of retail vendors. So this is captured by the drone. A drone surveilling a parking lot here. This is the camera looking at it to see what kind of features. These are the types of cameras that are best selling today, the drones. The tricky part is that the drone's flight has to be pre-navigated, although drones can now avoid running into things now with sensors. They can manipulate objects. They can make deliveries. So we all know about Amazon making deliveries, but this lady here is upset that she's going to lose her delivery guy. So, and also there's other things. They can carry dogs. So they take the dog for a walk. They can fly the dog around, right? So I mean, this is actual video here. So and they also have infrared and audio videos that can scanning. And we also have LiDAR readings that can occur with drones. So the drone capacity for drones are limitless, but there are some privacy issues here. For example, with the size of the small drones, I mean, maybe employees would be worried about where the drone could show up to see what they're doing. There are court cases now where the drone video is being used to prove employee malfeasance or employee misbehavior during the work. And I'll show a real quick part of this video because this is another danger that occurs for drones. This is more a danger that could happen to the drone. These are chubby Siberian tigers.
Small one.
See, they're lounging around. They're hungry, playing. And they see birds flying around. It's like now they see a different kind of bird. They see a drone, and they catch for that. So they're eating the drone. So they realize it's not something they can really eat very easily. So I'm going to stop that video. But so anyway, so we applied this technology, this framework to audit drone automation, also applied it to warehouse drone architecture, how this would look in reality. We have certain things to consider, whether it's used for indoor or outdoor use. We have to do some mapping, so we need some software training with this. Also, who's going to own the data? Would be the software vendor, for example, or the client or the auditor in this case. There's also there's some trainings involved. They're not easy to fly. So these are I suggest you start with a small, cheap one and learn how to crash it and learn how not to crash it. So this is a quick overview of drone innovation. This is, like I said, this is a logo I'm trying to trademark right now, but it's basically talking about how we're right here at this manual audit process here. The first thing, that's the current situation. And we want to get to here where we have bot or automatic drones automatically piloting themselves, autonomously conducting routine inspections without any kind of interference from the human auditor in a continuous auditing environment. And it would look a combination of the human auditor controlling and really navigating everything. Then we have the bot auditor, and we also have the drone. So drones aren't generalists, and they can't answer for every issue with auditing, but they can be applied definitely for manual routine processes. We see that eventually the industry will adopt drones because the value of drone usage is undeniable, particularly with inspections and asset evaluation. And so we've talked a lot today about robotic auditors versus human auditors. And we feel that leveraging the computing power of drones and AI and robotics is the best way to enhance the auditor's task. And again, I talked about self-driving car. The other presentation, we could be self-driving audit drone. Why not? And there's actually robotic cops now in Dubai. 30% of the cops going down next spring will be robots. Then there's also now a flying, self-sufficient, autonomous drone in Israel. So basically, technology is not the future on its own. It's all about leveraging these types of technologies to further improve our tasks as auditors. And auditors who are prepared for this in the future will be the ones who survive these technologies the best. So we might as well have fun being an auditor. So have fun and fly a drone. And real quickly here. So this is the conclusion. Are there any questions?
No, we are
No?
going to move
Okay.
ahead.
Thank you for your time.